Have you read a story in the Draoithe Saga and come away with a classic case of immersion after effect? Let me guess, there are questions which remain unanswered even as the magic expanded, adding another layer to the dream. The grand desire to turn the page to discover what happened next ended with the last leaf turned. If you're asking where the remedy for the book Hangover is, you know the answer: read another story. But you aren't ready for the next tale, not yet. The dust needs to settle before you pick up the next volume. So you have found your way here. You aren't alone. Even the author can't get enough. As you hear this, Ophelia writes on. But allow me to offer you a possibility, a reflection on the tale you recently finished, and a way to revisit the story to ease the story blues. Welcome to the Draoithe Saga After Party. Warning, spoiler alerts ahead. Turn back now if you wish to read the story blind.
Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a world, right, where ancient myths, they aren't just stories, they're real, like walking among us. Where magic is this tangible thing just under the surface. And true love, well, it's not a fairy tale. It's more like a battle for balance itself.
Yeah, it's intense.
Today, we're diving into a really rich, complex story from Ophelia Keyes' Dungeon Master. It's part of her massive Draoithe Saga.
And our mission here for this deep dive is really to explore that blend. You've got paranormal romance, magical realism, urban fantasy, all woven together.
Exactly.
We want to kind of pull out the core insights, you know? The world building, which is unique, the character dynamics super intense, and maybe the surprising bits about its magic system.
So get ready. We can meet some pretty extraordinary characters, delve into this world that's full of danger, but also, desire. And we'll see how this powerful connection can offer, well, both a safe place and a path to healing.
It sounds like a dream to escape into, definitely.
Oh yeah. But fair warning, the author mentions adult themes, fantasy violence, and or explicit sexual situations. So you know it's going to get pretty wild. Okay, first things first, let's set the scene a bit. The Draoithe Saga, it's described as a long story of heroic achievement. It's all about founding this immortal kingdom, the Lean Deal, and its main job, fighting folks who unbalance the magic of the dream.
Basically, keeping magical reality from falling apart, which sounds important.
Definitely. And the weird part, it all happens in this eerily familiar yet magical realist, Tyler, Texas.
Which is a fascinating choice, and what's really cool structurally is how the saga is broken down into these mini-series. Dungeon Master's Volume 4 of the Valkyrie Writers series.
Right.
So each mini-series, it seems, focuses on specific couples finding hope, finding their connection to Draoithe, often through finding a lifemate. It grounds this huge, epic conflict in something really personal.
Yeah, you get those individual stakes within the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's meet the couple at the heart of this one. First up, Luckley and Erskine, but people call him Blaze.
Blaze, yeah. Good name for a dragon.
Right. He's a gray dragon, pretty imposing guy, 6'5", 245 pounds, and get this, he's 629 years old.
Whoa, that's ancient.
Totally. And apparently he smells like juniper and whiskey, which is quite a combo.
Intriguing.
But here's the kicker, his past. For centuries, he was the dungeon master for the Overking of Leinster.
Dungeon Master, that sounds ominous.
Oh, it is. We're talking torture, really dark history. But now, he's a banker.
A banker. From Dungeon Master to banker.
Yep, an alpha dragon banker whose skills the dungeon master will put to the test, but in a totally different way now.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack right there.
And then there's Grace Jenkins, also known as Jewel.
Jewel, fitting for a jeweler, which she is, from Waco.
Exactly. She's a sorceress, 330 years old, 5'5", and she smells like jasmine. So a contrast to the juniper and whiskey.
Definitely. And she's described as a Valkyrie sorceress submissive. Importantly, she was born touching the sorceress's fountain.
What does that mean exactly?
It implies her magic is innate. It's part of her essence, Not something she learned or studied, it just is.
Wow. So you have this ancient dragon, dark past, banker, and this centuries-old sorceress born with magic, a jeweler.
Yeah. What happens when these two cross paths? It feels like sparks are gonna fly. Literally, maybe.
You're not wrong. Because the story kicks off, right away with something huge. Grace has been brutally attacked by 3 evil dragons.
Oh, man.
Yeah, her business burned down. She was kidnapped for these crazy, evil medical experiments, and she's dying. Actually stopped breathing.
Jeez. That's grim.
Totally. And Blaze finds her. And in this, desperate moment, he slices his own wrist and bleeds for her. Uses his blood magic to pull her soul back from the netherworld.
Wow. Okay, that's a massive act, but blood magic on a sorceress.
Exactly, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, because we find out sorceresses can't have blood. It's fundamentally against their nature. They don't eat meat or blood.
Right.
So ingesting dragon blood, which is described as a product of necromancy in this world, well, it messes her up badly. Traps her in her own mind for 4 days straight.
Oh, God.
And she's terrified. She thinks Blaze is trying to make her his thrall, his sex slave, because that's what the blood feels like to her.
And Blaze is just gutted when she pulls away from him, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't understand why she's reacting like that at first.
No, he seems genuinely hurt. But then Luke steps in. He's the alpha of the druid pack, a big deal.
Right, the dire wolf king.
Yeah, and Luke reveals the truth. Blaze actually saved her from something even worse. Dragon fire.
Which apparently erases you, body and soul.
Exactly. It's how immortals protect their secrets. Total obliteration. Luke says, point blank, failure wasn't an option for Blaze. He had to save her any way he could.
So, hearing that, how does that change things for Grace? How does she start to see Blaze then?
Well, it completely reframes everything, doesn't it? It shows his action wasn't malicious. It was desperate, instinctive, maybe even fated, driven by this bond he feels.
A life-saving act, not an act of control.
Precisely. And it's the start of her having to understand this whole new world she's been thrown into. The rules are different, the stakes are higher. She has to look past her fear.
So Grace starts recovering at Draoithe, this sanctuary. And Blaze, he kind of becomes her caretaker.
Really attentive, right?
Totally. Gentle baths, making sure she has the right vegetarian food, constant protection. He's just there for her.
She starts seeing that side of him, the kindness, not just the scary dungeon master reputation.
Exactly. She focuses on his actions now, not the centuries-old past, which is huge for her healing, I imagine.
Absolutely. But what's really wild is what happens to her magic.
Oh, right. This is amazing.
Yeah. So she's a light sorceress, right? A defensive magic, healing, that kind of thing. But after taking in Blaze's dragon blood,
She gets his fire.
she can call and control his dark dragon fire. It's like she steals it, makes it obey her. Suddenly she's got offense and defense, dark and light.
That's a massive power-up. She must feel completely different.
Oh, she does. She realizes her magic is far more powerful, and she actually feels safer than ever before, which is kind of ironic given the source.
And Blaze has a theory about this, doesn't he? About why she can do this.
Yeah, he thinks it's because she's his life mate. Apparently, only another dragon or their destined mate can handle dragon fire without just, poof, being incinerated.
Wow, so this new power, it ties them together even more. It's not just that he saved her, now her power is literally linked to his essence.
Exactly. It deepens that connection on an almost elemental level. Her survival, her power, they're tied to him now, which is empowering, sure, but also
Complicated.
very complicated. Questions of dependency. Where does his power end and hers begin? It sets up a whole new dynamic, potentially new conflicts down the line. It's definitely not simple.
Okay, but we have to talk about Blaze's past more directly, because he does confess, right?
He does. He tells her about being the dungeon master for centuries.
Yeah.
About the torture. It's brutal honesty.
And then later, Grace finds out something even, more disturbing maybe, about how he maintained his ability to fly.
That he was serviced by women, multiple women, every night, for 300 years.
Yeah, anywhere from 2 to 7 a night, the text says. That's staggering.
It is. And he's very clear. He says he never forced the woman, but it was part of his required service. And it left him, in his words, broken as a man. He had no interest in the women forced upon him.
Oh, wow. How do you even process that kind of past, especially when you're trying to build something new?
It raises that huge question, doesn't it? How do you reconcile centuries of that kind of compelled darkness with wanting a real honored connection now?
So why does he want a life mate then, after all that?
He explains it stems from this profound loneliness, just centuries of being used, essentially. He yearns for true flight, which he believes can only happen consensually with his Valkyrie. His true mate has to claim her wings from him, share his magic willingly. That's what sets him free. It's about partnership, not service.
Okay, that adds another layer. It's about redemption, in a way.
Definitely. And despite this incredibly heavy past, his loyalty to Grace now seems absolute.
Oh, yeah. Like when she finds out her business is gone, accounts frozen, she's been framed.
What does Blaze do? The dragon who hoards treasure.
He basically says, it's all yours. Pledges everything he has ever hoarded to her. He says, No treasure I have is worth your loss. I found my life mate in you.
Bam! That's quite the statement from a dragon.
Right. He literally sees her as his greatest treasure.
And it shows this really specific code of honor he operates by now. It's not about buying her affection. It's about absolute devotion, making her whole again because she is what matters most. It completely flips the script on what treasure means for him.
Okay, so Grace is hitting rock bottom, basically. Lost everything. And then Luke, the direwolf king, steps in again.
With a pretty amazing offer, right?
Unbelievable, yeah. Draoithe wants her to rebuild her jewelry store, but at the retreat.
Like set up shop right there.
Yep, and they'll fund it. Plus an $80,000 annual salary, cell service, transport, room and board, including alcohol, importantly.
Ah, nice perk.
And even clothes for events. It's a whole package.
Oh, wow. That's security, purpose, everything she just lost, handed back. What's the catch?
Well, she has to join the Druid path, which means committing to self-defense training, magic practice, and, pack goals to become part of the community.
That seems reasonable, actually. A chance to get her life back and then some.
Totally. And Luke even throws in Blaze as her personal bodyguard to sweeten the deal.
Recognizing that bond, yeah. That protective instinct Blaze has. It shows the pack supports them, supports him wanting to protect her.
And Blaze is like, whatever my king commands, especially if she requests it, he's all in.
It really solidifies things, gives Grace a path forward, acknowledges their connection, and integrates them into the Draoithe structure.
So their relationship starts to take shape. And it's kind of quirky, right, these contrasts?
Definitely. You've got Blaze, the stoic, straight-laced banker / dragon knight.
Yeah, probably very organized.
Probably. And then Grace, the free-spirited artist type.
But they find this secret connection.
Yeah. Turns out they both secretly love reading adult romance novels.
Oh, that's great. I love that detail.
It's endearing. And Blaze admits, because of his past, he's no good at flirting. He's kind of awkward, maybe.
And Grace finds that charming.
Seems like it. She's drawn to him, despite, or maybe because of, his quirks. And he's just captivated by her.
And then the first kiss happens.
Yes. Which Grace describes as, by far the best kiss I've ever had. So clearly the chemistry is off the charts.
Intense connection, yeah.
Yeah.
But she's still scared, right?
Yeah.
She asks him not kiss anyone else, which is like a small claim.
But it comes with that fear and confusion from everything she's been through. It's not simple for her.
No. And Blaze's response is pretty incredible, too.
Yeah, he basically says he'd wait forever. He'd rather wait 1,000 more years for her to choose him willingly than ever force her or be compared to the guys who hurt her.
Wow. Patience of a dragon, I guess.
Literally. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? How can this incredibly deep attraction, this connection, possibly navigate all that trauma, all those fundamental differences, especially in this world with magic and destiny pulling the strings? It poses that question for you, the listener, to chew on.
So wrapping this up, what does this deep dive into Dungeon Master really mean for you? Lifting.
Well, we've seen a world where being immortal isn't all perks, right? It comes with deep loneliness.
Yeah, and where really dark pasts, truly harrowing stuff, can somehow find a path toward maybe not forgiveness, but redemption, a new purpose.
Exactly. And where Sanctuary isn't just about locking the doors, it's a chance for a real, genuine new beginning, a chance to heal and rebuild.
Right. And if we connect this back to the whole Draoithe saga, this story really highlights something powerful.
Which is?
How this intense, fated connection, this life-mate bond becomes the catalyst. It drives the healing, the self-discovery.
Yeah. Grace finds her power again, maybe even more power than before. She finds her purpose as an artist again. And she finds this incredibly fierce protector in, the last place you'd expect.
And Blaze, what does he find?
He finds his own redemption, maybe. A true purpose that isn't about service or duty in the old broken sense. It's about devotion. Dedicating himself completely to his mate.
Quite the transformation for both of them. So, maybe the provocative thought we leave you with today is this. In a world like Draoithe, where your very nature, your magic, your past can be both a gift and a heavy burden, and where destiny might ask way more of you than you ever thought you could handle, what would it really take? What would it mean to truly embrace all of that, your unique powers, your history, and allow yourself to be treasured completely, unconditionally, like Blaze treasures Grace?
Yeah. What does it mean to be someone's ultimate treasure and to accept that? Deep thought to end on.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for your support. For more, visit opheliakey.com. Welcome to the dream. Sincerely. Okay.